Good morning and welcome to our final reflection time together for this week. Get ready. What were we getting ready for? Does anyone know? When someone does exactly what I just did to you and shouts something like, get ready or look out, that triggers a fight or flight response in us. And we either jump or duck or freeze or scan our immediate environment for danger. That type of reaction is a pretty primitive thing, and it's hardwired into our brains as a way of making sure that we stay alive, even in the presence of some kind of threat, like a predator. But if someone tells us to get ready and then doesn't give us any more specifics, we will usually be alert for a little while because we expect that something's going to happen. But eventually, when nothing does, we relax again and we assume the danger is over. Keep that concept in mind as I read our gospel reading for the final time this week. Okay, our gospel reading is taken from Matthew chapter 24, verses 37 to 44, and it says this: As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day that Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Two men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. Two women will be grinding with a hand mill, one will be taken and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this: if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. As I've said a couple of times this week, in this gospel reading, Jesus is trying to warn his followers about what is to come, perhaps at the actual end of the world, but more likely at the point when the fall of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple, and the end of the Roman Empire happened. Things that for us are ancient history, but for them were still somewhere in the future. He's also telling them to watch out for the signs that he's returning in an event the church has long described as the second coming. But he's also making it clear that we will never know when this event will happen and that we shouldn't try to predict it. We should just be ready, watchful, and expectant for it. Well, the first Christians were able to do exactly that. They lived with a heightened sense of expectation that translated, remember this word I told you about a few weeks ago, into an eschatological worldview. They believed that the world was ending very soon, that Jesus would return for the second time, and that they would all be alive to witness these incredible events. Of course, it didn't happen this way, and eventually their sense of readiness and expectation began to die away. They still thought that Jesus would return at some point. And in fact, the church still does preach and teach that there will be a second coming, even though we don't know when that will be. But that sense of being on edge and expectant has long since faded away. So here's a question that I'd like to leave you with this morning. What do you think about this idea of a second coming of Christ? Do you believe that Jesus will ever actually come back, that we will see him on earth? If so, then how do you think Christians can remain ready and expectant for an event that we don't know when it will ever happen? Perhaps you could spend a minute or two discussing that in your form groups. But otherwise, I'll see you soon.